All right, so here's where I am at with it. See here, pretty much all of this section here is pretty much done. Kind of worked top to bottom, so I kind of just started and just worked my way down and across. Added some more of the layers to the foreground snow here. And so I'm ready to work out this section here and do a lot of the work in the snow. And I know this is going to take some time, so I figured I would just film this part. But yeah, here's where we are with it. All right, got those trees going with the snow on them. Giving my reference. Okay, so here we go. Now, for the snow, I was using a couple of these different blues, and then I got this kind of these light grays. These are both Neo Pastel sticks. This one happens to be a Van Gogh. It's kind of this lavender, and this is kind of my base, as I'll be adding on top of these grays on top of this, but just trying to get a good layer down, and then blend in with my finger, kind of push that into the paper. Okay. All right, so let's start with this, and we'll start lightening up this snow and get it closer to the actual real color here. All right, so this is just a Neo Pastel light gray, and we'll start adding in here, and it goes right over the top of that Van Gogh, no problem. All right, and then we have these shadows here going across, but in between the shadows, you can still see some of this lighter snow kind of coming through. Okay. All right, and over off into the side here. All right, now this is where it starts to get misty, so I got to be careful on pressure, as I got to kind of fade that back here. Right. Maybe a little tire does something like that, you know, little tire marks kind of go where they want to go. Right, fade that back. Now back in here, I do see some of that lighter snow, but it's really faint. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. Right, so there's just the faintness of it. That's all I really need. Right, and just keep adding. You can see having that lavender down first really helps with the highlights of the snow. And I haven't used white, you know, when I do snow, I save that white till the very, very end. Okay, so I don't start with the white, because remember that white is your strongest, brightest value there that you have in your collection. That white is really strong and bright, so you don't want to start off with your brightest color. Right, we can always add that to the end. Right, it looks like the shadows can keep going right off, and then we have a plant here. It looks like a brush or a bush or something that's snow covered, but it's hitting that light right in that section right there. Okay, so kind of these little sticks coming up, and then again. All right, see how I'm doing that? I'm just kind of feathering that in. Okay. All right, you can always take your finger and kind of knock it back when it gets too bright. In some of these areas, the finger just really knocks it back. All right, let's keep going here. So right here on this edge here. Now pushing into the paper somewhat here to get some more color down onto it. Right, those are going to be tire tracks. And I'm going to just roll that tip. Roll it. Try to create a broken line, kind of rolling it. Right? So piece by piece, just slowly add in the snow highlights. Slowly changing the color of it and brighten it up. I think it's helpful just to work with anything, but especially snow. I like to start off with that lavender and then build on top and kind of work that, work it dark to light. All right. I figured I'd film this part since might be of the most interest here to watch, and not create these super long videos every time. It's nice to have a variation on the YouTube channel to vary it up somewhat so that everything's the same. All right, now this is just a light gray, so I haven't even added the white. When we add that white, it's really going to pop these brights. Okay, so just keep in mind that that's coming later. So see, this is a shadow. So right at this edge of the shadow, there's a ridge of snow made from the tire tracks, and I just go right against that blue and just kind of feather it a little to the side like that. Right, but you keep that strength, that contrast right there on the edge. Okay. Right there, and then snow's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun. Okay, and just pressure down puts more pigment, makes it a brighter mark. All right, and actually the red of the road actually is coming into play. It's actually acting as a dark, which is working out for me. Wasn't sure if that was the right paper to use, but it seems to be working out okay here. All right, just little tire marks. Looks like a lot of vehicles have been traveling down this little snowy road here, so right, and they take different paths down it, so all right, so pretty good start on this. All right, haven't gone to the misty part yet. That's coming. Kind of unsure what stick I'm going to use for that. But as I come back in here, I'm going to really blur those edges out. All right, actually I might use this. Let's just see what that looks like. I'm just going to take this, put a little bit down, take the finger, and just slowly kind of do something like that. Okay, so see that, take it a little bit in there, kind of this little motion like that, very light, and just finger, pinky, whatever you got, right, and then just smooth it out. Little circular motions, very light pressure, just go over it. Okay, and then every once in a while you got to peek the road back in there. All right, you can't lose the road through the mist, so every once in a while you got to kind of put that back. Okay, let's keep going with that. Let's put some right in here. So it really goes all the way across when I'm looking at this misty part. Goes all the way across, even over here. Okay, and then just a finger. Now, what I could try is a brush. Where are my brushes? Oh, here we go. All right, so this is just a little brush. Sometimes just a brush on this will work just as well as a finger, even better sometimes. So let's try that out. See if the little brush here will help. And it's just grabbing the top of that top layer and just smearing it around, creating this very light top misty section. Okay, and then I keep it going with it until I get to the right depth of that mist and that right feel. It even goes right into the tree. Okay, and then back here we have the road, so don't want to lose the road. Oops. Don't want to lose it. This little brush is made by Sennelier. It's actually pretty expensive for this little thing. But I don't know if you can read that, but it's basically, it says Sennelier and it says number 12. And it looks like that. Right, and these are pretty soft bristles. I don't know if you need this little exact brush to do this effect with. I think it's a little bit too much on the price, but you know, probably a regular paintbrush that's kind of stubby bristles like this would work for what I'm doing right here. You can see how I can just really create mist or clouds or fog or things of that nature. All right, and even right into the shadows area, there's a bit of this misty stuff going on. I don't know if this is blowing snow or probably it's just blowing snow. Like a breeze just came through this area and picked up the top of the snow and like blown it across. All right, let's put a little bit more down. Okay. And that's a Neo Pastel I'm using it with. So it's soft enough, the Neo Pastel is soft enough to move around like this. Okay. Now you can see what happens is you start losing the road back in there. So I'm going to have to come in here in a second here, and I'll do that in a minute. But right now I'm going to finish this part. Okay. Real soft edges, very soft. No hard edges here. Definitely in this section, everything's very soft. You can see I start to build up the oil pastel on the brush, and I can actually punch in up in here and kind of push it up. Okay, let's keep going with that. All right. And this is how you do mist or fog or, you know, kind of that type of look. And a finger would work for this. I could use my finger, and I could do that because I've done that before with a finger. Sometimes the finger works better, sometimes the brush works better. I think it depends on surface, the kind of brand of oil pastel that you're trying to spread around. All right, let's take a look at that for a minute and then take a little polar break. All right, now we lost a lot of that road in that process, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back in with this same light gray here and kind of put it back in. Okay, so we're just going to push in a little. Put it back in. All right, and just kind of fade it back. Okay. And even back in here, we're just so slight. Just fade some very slight lines. Touch it. Right. Kind of build that little road back. Ever so slightly with just a little bit of pressure. There's some light coming through here. Okay. There we go. All right, and I can keep going with that mist, and I probably will here. But I'm going to work on this section now a little bit more. Right, because now we're going to add some more brights to it. All right, I'm going to work on the deep part, the darker parts of that snow. So I was using this blue here to get that kind of the shaded areas, see? All right, and that's working pretty well for that. All right. Now notice I don't touch anything with my finger for the most part in this section because I want this area to be more texturized so it appears closer to us. But back in here, definitely smooth it out. All right, because that creates that sense of distance. And I talked about differences in value of texture value, which is easy to really do and depict with pastels and oil pastels. Is there's such a thing as a values of texture. And so highly textured areas in the front, you don't touch with the finger. You kind of just lay the color down and just let it sit like that with sharper edges. And then as things go in the back, you really got to kind of smudge those edges a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's go to the darker blue. So right along this little ridge, I can see a little bit of a darker blue, kind of in the deeper valleys of these tire treads, tire marks. Okay, it's kind of a little bit of a deeper blue, and I'm going to use this Prussian blue to kind of put that in there, and then we're going to just take the finger and move it across. Okay. Come at it again. let's do this one over here. Right, and maybe just a little bit right there. Okay, and then same thing right along this little edge here. It's a little bit darker. Okay, and you can just take that and kind of run it across a little bit. Right, if it's too dark, you can always just finger brush it out, you know, but you do got to get your darks in there in the snow. Okay, gonna keep going with that, even through the shaded areas. Keep that line going. Right. Snow is a lot of fun. Okay. So we got that in. And if it's too much, I can always feather it like that. Okay. Looks pretty good. Right now over here, try to make like actual tire tread, you know, like, you know, the tread of the tire, the knobbiness of it, I guess, right? Kind of what I'm trying to imply doing this, kind of put in these little lighted marks areas and stuff. Okay. All right, so we got like 3 different blues, using 1 gray so far, 1 light gray. And now I'm going to come at it, and I think the shadows are already working here. Not sure if I'm going to change those shadows. They seem to be working okay for me. Might just add in a little bit of shadow right there. Okay, just kind of fade it out. All right. So going pretty good. Over on the edge here, we do have some snow that's starting to hit the light over here. It looks like we have these, I don't know if it's a grass or a bush or something that's kind of making a little entrance right there. Right, and then over here we have same little kind of grass or bush over there that's hitting the light, and then this tree right there hitting a little light there. Okay. It makes it look like the tires kind of chewed this up a little bit, you know what I mean? All right, let's take a look back here about it. Looking pretty good. All right, I'm going to start adding some highlights here pretty soon. Get that sun white out. That's really going to change the game for us. Because right now it's looking pretty dang good. I mean, I could stop right here, sign it, and be satisfied, but I want to see what that sun white's going to do for us. Right, nice and thick textured in the foreground. Very important, right? Get that sense of everything's nice and thick. Right. Okay, let's take that sun white here. And I don't even know if I'm going to use this yellow. Don't know about that. I kind of want to, but I kind of don't know if I need to. All right, let's get the nice white here, nice and clean. Let's just see what this Neo Pastel. This is a pale yellow Neo Pastel. Get it nice and cleaned up. All right, let's just add a little bit of, I'm just going to lightly scrub some yellow just to see if that does anything for me. Just so slight. I don't know if I really need to do that. I guess it brings a little bit of warmth, right, from the sun. Just a little bit here and there. Right, I think I need a little bit more of the road back in there. Fade that mark out in the back there. Maybe a little tint of the yellow isn't bad. I don't know how much I want to put in there though. So this is just a very light, I'm just barely getting any color off that, but I don't need a lot. I don't want a lot of that yellow. Right, it does add to it. I decided that it was a good choice. All right, now white. I'm going to start here in the foreground. I'm really going to push into it. Okay, and drop a heavy mark. All right, and just kind of roll it, and drop some texture down into it. And you see that white just pops. Right, and no other oil pastel stick is going to do this, not even the Neo Pastel. Like if you don't have Sennelier, at least get the Sen White, because I use it a lot. As you can see, I got the big stick of it so that I don't run out. And I mean, it's probably one of my most used sticks as far as the highlights are going. But you can really, it's so creamy, you can just drop big goblets in there. Right, and not everywhere, just certain parts where maybe the snow's a little bit thicker. Be careful back in there with it. Yeah. Let's see, I probably should add a little shadow next to that. Right on the other side of that, add a little blue, kind of make it a shadow. All right, let's keep going with this sun. Especially in this foreground, it's going to be nice and bright. Much more brighter here than in the middle ground area. See how that sun just really works so good. So good. Nothing else hits the marks like the sun white does. Right, looks like we can just step right on out in this snow. Ooh, thinking about that. What if the little gravel truck came around, and dropped some rocks? So there's a little bit of a underneath the snow might be some gravel. Maybe at one point they tried to gravel this road, and then they gave up. They was like, forget it. All right, let's get another. We'll get a brown too. Little gravel marks. Okay, so you can put as much gravel as you want, but then right next to the gravel we can add a little bit of a mark, maybe a little highlight, some of those. Okay. All right, and this tree, bring some of that sun white up in there. Yeah, this was a fun one. I know I didn't do the full tutorial on it, but I think you got the best parts, which was this snowy road. And this is turning into be a longer video than I really wanted it to be, but I figured this would be of interest to watch. All right, I think this is good with the sun. And we do see a little yellow in there, so that's good. Right, maybe a little bit more mist. What do we think about that? Let's just kind of see what we can do there. And I don't know if I really need it, but use the finger this time. Gotta be so careful going over the top of these things that you're using so little light pressure. Just really light. Just kind of using your finger or that brush and kind of moving it around. Right, and I'm losing that little road back in there again, but we'll just take this and put some marks down. And bring it back to life. All right. I think I'm about there. At least I'm there enough to sign it and then take a break and then come back and do some, if there's any corrections that need to be made here, but I think I'm right about there. I might play more with this mist. Back in here, let me bring, where is that? Maybe it's this one. Kind of a distant, snowy little branches. Snow on those bigger branches maybe that we can pop in and see. Little details like that kind of add to the overall scene. And make those marks. Kind of cut the edges on those marks. All right, guys. Let me guess I will call this one done. What do you think? Did I work it out? I mean, I can keep going here. Oops. It's this one I was using here, and kind of just keep adding to it. But I think that works. The Sun White was the winner, right? That Sun White. Can't get enough of it. Especially right up in that front area. It's perfect. All right, I think I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and sit on this for a little bit. And let's take a look at the reference here. Just a second. All right. It looks like I made my snow a little bit more choppier. All right, especially right in here. I could smooth it out a little bit more. Just add a little bit more of this light gray to it. But overall, very happy with this. I haven't done a snow painting in a while, so this was a lot of fun. And there we go. Now that's what I call a good snow painting, huh? It looks like we're walking down this little path, or this road, country road that's just been nailed with a good blizzard. All right, well, I'm gonna call this done. Let's go ahead and sign. Take a red. Now here's interesting. I'm gonna do a red on top of a blue here. I just sign everything in red nowadays. take some up close. See how the road just kind of disappears. And nice deep shadows. And that sun white. This is about 2 feet away. Wow, it's turning into a 40-minute video. Didn't want to do that, but oh well. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. All right, see you later.